Chapter 2. The Candy That Is Not Sweet. Grandfather Chan was dozing in a big red chair. Beside him stood the baby's cradle, which was a thick basket with a framework of wood. Inside the cradle lay the baby. The baby was fast asleep. The cottage door was open. Yen played in the garden in front of the house. Mother Chan had gone to enjoy a cup of afternoon tea with a neighbor. While leaving, she told Yen to be a good little son and take good care of the baby and his grandfather. Yen wore a scarlet silk cap, a gaily embroidered vest, and purple trousers. He had a round and smooth face and bright eyes. He had found some pretty stones in a corner of the garden and was merrily playing with them when he heard the cry of the candy man. Yen gave a hop and a jump. In a moment he was at the corner of the street where the candy man stood. A whole lot of small children had grouped around him. The candy man was a fascinating fellow. He had splendid big bowl slung over his broad shoulders and basket of sweet meat which peeped from it on either side. Yen gazed wistfully at the sugared almond and lime, the ginger and spice cake, and the barley sugar and cocoa nut. I will take that candy man, he said, pointing to a twisted sugar stick of many colors. Cash, said the candy man, holding out his hand. Oh, exclaimed Yen. He had thought only of sugar and forgotten he had no cash. Give it to me, said Han Yu. I have cash. The peddler man put the sugar stick of many color on the little hands of Han Yu. Quick as his chubby legs could carry him, Yen ran back to the cottage. His grandfather was still dozing. Grandfather, grandfather, cried Yen, but his grandfather did not hear. Upon a hook on the wall hung a long string of cash. Mother Chan had hung it there for her use when passing peddlers called. Yen had thought about asking his grandfather to give him one of the copper coin which was strung on the string, but as his grandfather did not wake up at his call, he changed his mind. You see, the day before he had felt pain in his feet, and when he had cried, his mother had said, "No more candy for Yen." For some moment Yen stood hesitating and looking at the many copper coin on the bright red string. It hung just low enough to be reached. The candy man, who carried with his basket a tin saucepan and a little charcoal stove, had set about making candy, and the smell of the barley sugar got wafted from the corner to Yen's little nose. Yen hesitated no longer. He grabbed 3 coins and with a hop and a jump was out in the street again. I will take 3 sticks of twisted candy of many colors, he said to the candy man. With his 3 sticks of candy, Yen returned to the cream. He had just bitten a piece of the brightest stick of all when his eyes fell on a spinning top which his mother had given him that morning. He crunched the candy, but somehow or other it did not taste sweet. Yen, Yen, called his grandfather, awaking from his sleep. Yen ran across to him. Grandfather, he said, I have some beautiful candy for you. He put the 3 sticks of candy upon his grandfather's knees. Dear child, explained the old man, adjusting his spectacles, how did you come to get the candy? Yen's little face became very red. He knew that he had done wrong, so instead of answering his grandfather, he hopped 3 times. How did you get the candy? Grandfather Chan inquired again. From the candy man, said Yen. Please, please, eat it. Now Grandfather Chan was a little deaf and thought if Yen had explained the candy all right, he nibbled a little at one of the sticks, then put it down. Eat some more, eat all, Grandfather, urged Yen. The old man laughed and shook his head. I cannot eat any more. I'm an old man now, he said. Yen became red in the face. I want you to eat it, Grandfather, he said in an urgent voice. But Grandfather Chan could not eat any more candy, and Yen became very restless. He began to talk very loudly because Grandfather would not listen to him. By the time Mother Chan returned, he became extremely impatient and was chattering like a little monkey. I do not know what the matter with the little boy is, said Grandfather Chan. He seems so confused because I cannot eat his candy. Mother Chan glanced at the string of cash and then at her little son's flushed face. I know, she said. The candy is not sweet to him, so he would like his grandfather to eat it. Yen stared at his mother. How did she know? How could she know? But he was glad that she knew. And as sat down, he crept softly to her side and said, Dear mother, the string of cash is less than it was in the morning, but the candy too was not.